Faith Forged in Fire, where we dive headfirst into the unique challenges and triumphs that comes with being a firefighter, all while exploring what it means to live out a biblical worldview. Join us as we find hope, perseverance, and faith in the midst of the heat and chaos. Welcome to the podcast. Well, this is looking a little bit better. I was kind of bitter. Here I am, a Michigan fan, and then I get stuck doing this podcast. I'm watching it, and there's this Notre Dame Cup front and center.
Yes.
I just can't do that. So at least it's a White Sox. It's not that great, but it's better than Notre Dame.
Well, I had to do something. Rich, in jest, having fun with me the other week, he said, well, at least it's not the White Sox. And I'm like, you're kidding me. So he didn't know. He had no idea, and I don't fault him. But I did show my allegiance to my South Side White Sox, the worst team in Major League Baseball right now, I must say. But I'm still a proud fan, win or lose,
The Tigers fans can relate to that.
Yeah, and Lions fans.
Lions fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're not here to talk about sports at all today. We got an interesting topic that, I think we'll see. I think it's interesting. We're going to talk, maybe we'll tell them, and then we got a couple other things to talk about. We're going to talk, maybe kind of answer a question. Can Christians have fun? And I think there's a lot of ways we can take that, even what kind of fun. Why do we need to have fun? Like this, really, we said we wanted a lighter topic, but we could kind of dig a little deeper into this if we want to. Yeah. But before we do that, we've got a couple of things. We got a couple of shout outs we need to do. All right. So I'm going to kick this over to Steve first, because we have started doing something. You brought it up on a couple of podcasts ago. He's getting nervous now. He has no idea what he does. He knows.
Here comes Mrs. Fritter.
I know.
Do you know who Miss Fritter is?
I have no idea who's Miss Fritter.
Watch Cars. Watch Cars.
His grandson is like in that.
I was going to say he's at that age right now.
She's the school bus at Thunder Hollow.
Oh, he's got it down to a pat. Yeah. I remember when the kids were growing, the little kids, and I used to have those, those songs in my head from the shows.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
awful. Oh, I'd sing them. I'd hear it. I'd be singing jingles all day long.
So should we start off and tell everybody welcome to the podcast? Its name is Faith Forged in Fire.
Well, they already got all that in the intro.
Figured it out, huh?
So we just don't hear they don't know that, but we don't hear the intro. It goes in post.
Oh.
So we've already welcomed him to the podcast.
Did we?
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that.
No, you weren't. That happens in the post.
Right.
Well, welcome to the show, Rich.
Hey, thanks,
welcome to the show.
Glad you're here. Do your feelings need to feel better, and you need to feel welcomed in this crew?
He needs a hug.
He needs a hug.
We got to give him a hug when we're done here.
When my microphone worked right off the bat, I knew I was welcome.
Yeah. Well, we tried to get rid of you, and it didn't work, and so we'll just keep him now. So we started something an episode or two ago. We brought up this idea of, hey, if you're we say local, but really, it doesn't matter where you're from. If we can send you, we have a cool flyer. And if you want to kind of display that somewhere in your business and give us some props, send us a picture. We'll put it on our Facebook page, which, by the way, you got to find us on Facebook, Faith Forged in Fire on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll put that up there. And then we'll give you a shout out on the show as well. Maybe another shout out later too, but we'll give you a shout out on the show. And we've already got some takers.
Yes, we have.
So let's give them the first one, Steve.
So I had a wild hair. I'm telling about that with the idea, and I thought this would be kind of fun to do. So we had these, like Josh said, we had these. I had these things made up. He had the things with the QR codes made up, the sheets. So I go over to Staples, or I go over and get them, and I have made up. And then I had an idea of someone that I was going to go do it, with. And sure enough, downtown Jamestown,
Michigan, by the way.
Michigan.
Yeah. So
Jamestown,
those listeners
Michigan.
In this area, in this area,
yes.
of Michigan.
Jamestown.
We are a worldwide podcast. So
bring it on down. Bring it on.
That's
Sorry.
down Down in here?
Thank you for doing our map.
You
for
have
us.
a map too.
Yes, right. It's down over here for anybody that doesn't know. So Ashley,
You got to watch they're missing half of what we do
have no
if
idea
they're
what's
listening
going
on the
on.
podcast.
They've already
got to
stopped
watch on
listening.
YouTube.
They've already stopped
Oh, they
listening.
did.
They're
For
done.
sure.
They've already
They're
found
done
something.
today.
They're from
They're watching
Michigan.
cars now.
They know exactly. They exactly know what we just did if they're from Michigan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, actually, so it's my favorite ice cream shop that me and my family go to because we live close by, and it is the Little Dipper.
The Little
Cafe
Dipper,
and ice cream shop in downtown Jamestown, Michigan.
So go check them out.
Melissa Steen, she's the owner, and it's a cool little place down there. She was so nice to hang them up, and she got two of them actually. So there's a downstairs where she's going to hang it up, and then there's also an upstairs area that's kind of a lounge-ish type area, which she also said that at some point, maybe this summer, we'll go ahead and do some podcasts from the upstairs.
On location.
On location. We're going to mix it up a little, have a little fun.
Is there enough room for like our 3 fans to come in and watch?
Plenty of room.
Awesome.
Plenty of room.
All right. Yeah. They're following us by the tens, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe if they have cars.
So anyways, shout out. And if you go in there and any of these that we mention, or if you see them on Facebook, and I guess that's what we really need to say is there's more information on the Facebook page for each of these as you hear about them. An address, a phone number, whatever, if they give us a business card, we'll put a picture of that on there. So we'd love to have you go in and give them a little support if you're going through the area. And if you see the owner, make sure you tell them that you're there because of us and that just let them know, we get nothing from that other than hopefully somebody maybe sees the advertisement and tunes in. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Melissa, for being so kind to do this and support us and partner up with us.
And if you have a business and you want that, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, message us, tell us what you'd like. So anyways, that shout out. And we got one more shout out. We were actually hoping to have this nice bright sign. Sorry, Jake. We really tried, but, hopefully in about 2 episodes, it'll be up because you can hold it up and see if they can see it, but it probably won't show up very well.
I'm going to show it backwards.
Keep
Keep a little of the drama for the reveal.
Yeah, that's probably good. It'll be 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks, Rich, before they get to see that thing.
Oh, that's right.
But we have a pretty sweet sign from our friends over at the Red Flannel Coffee Company, which has been a tremendous supporter of us. And so we want you to be a tremendous supporter of them. If you drink coffee, please jump over there, buy a bunch of coffee for your station, whatever. Go over to Red Flannel Coffee and buy some coffee from them. And when you check out, use the code PJ20. There'll be a link in the description, both to the website and then I'll put the code down there. You will get 20% off your entire first purchase simply because we sent you over there. That's something special they're doing for the Faith Forged and Fire podcast.
Oh, I love it. And I did just receive my very first bag of Red Flannel coffee.
Nobody.
Thank you.
It might just be Folgers that I dumped out and put in there.
Well, Folgers or not, thank you very much, Jake.
This is not very good coffee. Well, that's because it's Folgers. I swapped it out.
You kept the good stuff.
We did. We did.
All right, let's get to our topic because apparently Christians can't have fun because we haven't had any fun at all.
So let's land this plane.
Let's land this plane. We've answered the question.
Show's over.
That's right.
We crashed it on takeoff, I think, today.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So can Christians have fun? And this kind of came up from a story that you told. And we don't necessarily have to really dive into it, but this idea of when you first came to Christ, just the idea of you realizing like, hey, I can go and hang around other Christians and have fun. I don't have to do it in necessarily a worldly way. And I can actually have fun.
Yes.
And I think we really, if people don't understand, looking from the outside, they think, man, Christians just don't have fun. And there's some reasons for that. And part of that is people who aren't Christians, they only know one way to have fun. Maybe that's part of it. And so they can't imagine it a different way. But we want to kind of unpack that today. And that's, maybe we can encourage some people to maybe have a little fun.
We'll have fun. This is fun. This is a good story here because for me, in my early days of faith and when I was coming out of the world and slowly coming out of the world. All I knew for fun was I was a woo-woo kind of guy, here comes the party, and I was the life of the party for many, many a year. So if it was a boring time, wait till Steve shows up because I'm going to make sure we make this thing fun. So, but obviously coming out of the life that I did, fun for me had to include the things of life that people enjoy to make it fun. So I love to drink and, not in the, I was out of the drug phase, but I still like to drink and party and stuff like that. So I remember a situation that happened because, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my transition was slow. It wasn't this overnight thing where I magically went from wild party guy to now I'm,
suit and tie, carrying your Bible church.
Yeah, exactly. Walking around with tablets in my hand. It was not like that at all. Trust me. So it was a slow progression, but I remember, when I was out in Arizona, I knew a guy, in the fire service that I worked around, and he was at a church on the other side of town where I lived at the time. And he had a kind of a guys group that, I would go and kind of hang out every once in a while and do some guy stuff with. And it was kind of neat. It was like, all right, tonight I'll stay, I won't drink anything tonight, go hang out at the church with the guys. And that was cool. But, I remember the first retreat, men's retreat. They asked me to go on and I thought, oh boy, this is different, and I kid you not, I was petrified because I'm thinking, I got to hang out with dudes for the weekend. There's no booze involved. There's no girls. There's no nothing. Like,
what am I going to do?
What are we going to do? And so I remember they asked me to go and
but that's typical.
Yes.
That's typical.
Yeah. No.
For people to think of Christians.
Yeah. No. And that's how I think before I was a believer, if I ever thought of Christians, that's what I thought of. And then even as a believer now, I've heard that a lot where people, that's, I think one of the things that people are afraid of is that, well, my life's going to change so much. It's going to I'm going to become boring now. And I think people truly think that. Mm-hmm. So I remember I reluctantly signed up for this retreat. And I remember driving out there and so I was in the Phoenix metropolitan area and I had to drive up north to the mountains. So it was about an hour and a half drive at the time. I remember the whole time, I remember praying and saying, Lord, I need, what am I going to do? I'm legitimately freaking out. And the whole way, I'm like, what am I going to, I'm not going to be able to do this. I don't know what to do because I'm like, this is so foreign in a way to me. As horrible as it sounds, it is. And I remember I got up to this camp and I remember the first night sitting in the camp and we were in a cottage. There was so many guys in a cottage. And I remember just kind of hanging around. I'm looking, this isn't so bad. And I remember going through the whole weekend and it was amazing, how much fun I had. Mm. And again, I hate to say this, but it's probably the first time I ever had that much fun sober. Was again, it's all horrible as it sounds. And I remember leaving and I was so thankful I went and I was sad to leave because I had so much fun. Great guys. And then I felt stupid. I can't believe I was so worried about this. And then I come groveling back to I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have known.
Right.
But I really realized at that point that, just because, I'm not involved in these worldly funds, as we say, I had more fun that weekend and it was genuine.
Right.
Because when you're in the world and you're hanging out at the bar, that's not genuine fun. So, that's that fake fun, where everybody's loving each other and, that night because everybody's been drinking too much. And the next morning, they don't remember anything they said the night before.
It might have been. Yeah. It might have been your first weekend that you actually remembered then too, right?
Yeah,
that's what I was just going to say.
Probably.
It was probably fun because you woke up the next morning not sick.
That's the part of it.
Remembered it.
That you think about is, the fun that we have. You wake up in the morning, you don't feel terrible and regret what you did, and you can remember it. And that's just some simple practical things.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, for someone like myself who comes from the outside, comes from the world, I mean, and I should say, it comes from the world that was involved in the life that I was.
Right.
I should say.
Not
everybody in the world is a drinker.
Right. But we also all come from the world. Yeah.
But I'm saying people that are in the non-church world that come from that. Again, that's all they know. Right. And so it's a weird concept to think that I can completely have a great time and I don't need some kind of substance there, or I don't need something there that's not godly to do that.
I have a buddy who likes to say, he says, what kind of person am I if I need booze to make me more interesting to people?
Yeah.
or to find something more interesting. We just too often have that thinking that we need booze. And so, and so part of it, I think, is the kind of fun we want to have, because that's the fun that we think about. I hear, Christians go to games. We go to, I'll go to football games, hockey games, baseball games. The difference is I'm not going to drink. I have no interest in that, but I still had fun.
Yeah.
But I think part of that is you just, it's a game. I got to drink, or I've got to,
But it's promoted that way so much.
It is promoted that way.
It's like, go to a ball game, $1 beer night, let's drink, because that's the only way you can have fun.
Look at when we go do rallies. So Rich and I get to we volunteer for EMS and rallies for rally racing, like, Travis Pastrana and those for ARA and in Michigan. And we have a hoot, man. We have a good old time. But we sit there and watch people. I mean, they're dragging wagon loads of booze in because the only way they know how to have fun is to drink.
Yeah.
And it is entertaining.
And then we're entertained by that.
Definitely. On this side of things, it surely is now. Well, and let me say this too. Here's another thing that popped in. It's not just even the drinking, it's just the language or the conversation, right?
Right.
Because obviously when you're a guy, and you're in a conversation, you're talking about guy things that are derogatory, women or whatever it may be. So the swearing, the cuss words, whatever. I mean, I think it's a combination of, and I know I kind of made it just substances, but I mean, it's just a combination of everything together, I guess, too, to be even in a environment where I can't cuss or I can't talk dirty or whatever, whatever it may be, to be like wholesome conversations and be okay. And that, I think that was part of it as well. So it was really neat to be able to experience that and realize I don't need all of that. And what was great too is that was genuine, because I remember there was times later where I would go to the bar with the guys that I used to hang out with. And I remember going, this is so empty. This isn't like the weekend that I spent, or hanging out with the guys and the genuine conversations, the genuine heart, the genuine, when you looked at a guy and you knew that the guy wasn't saying he loved you because he was, because he was half crocked.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was saying it because he really meant it. And that was something that was hard for me as well. Cause in that world, that was what I thought was genuine, not realizing that was just a facade.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Right.
Until I experienced both. And now it's like, I see where it's real now.
Yeah, it makes me think of going to like a work Christmas party, and they used to drive me nuts when I would, now I'm a pastor vocationally, but when I would worked in a secular situation, you go to the Christmas party and there's people that wouldn't even talk to me the whole year. Like they worked in a different department. You walk by, they didn't talk to me. You have to ask you a question. You were just annoying them. But one night a year when they were 3 sheets to the wind, they're like trying to give you hugs and, oh, you're the best. And I'm like, but in that moment, because I'm on the other side, I'm like, yeah, you won't even remember this tomorrow. Like, don't bother me here.
Yeah. And I had situations legitimately like that where people were one way at night and completely didn't even remember what happened the night before. And it was, and I didn't notice that when I was more in the world, but as I started growing in my faith with Christ, I started noticing those things started really, like the Lord was showing me those to say, look at this. This is not the life that I want you to live. There's nothing here. It's fake.
Well, I think so. Really, we've kind of talked a lot about this, but just trying to point it towards the lens of Scripture, right? Which is generally what we do with our conversations here is think through the lens of Scripture. And what we're talking about is what you said. It's emptiness. Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, he talks about that. And what I love about Ecclesiastes is Solomon is it's believed to this day the richest man ever lived, right? If you don't know that story, God offered him riches or wisdom, and so he took wisdom. He wanted to be wise, and he was known for his wisdom. But then God said, well, if you took wisdom, I'm going to bless you with riches. And the funny thing is sometimes we question how wise Solomon really was, because if you read Ecclesiastes, you see he went through a point in life where he did exactly the things we're talking about, and he used his money and he used everything that he had, and he chased pleasure. There's a passage in Ecclesiastes that blows my mind. It says, whatever his eyes desired, he kept not from them. I mean, imagine driving down the road today where we're driving home, and there's, I mean, you name it. It could be a business sitting, on the side of you drive past a business and you're like, oh, that'd be cool to own that. So you just go buy it because you have all the money in the world. Doesn't matter what they ask. This was Solomon's life. Anything he wanted, he had, and he chased pleasure and he chased all of it. And at the end of it, he said, it's empty. Mm-hmm. And if you read through Ecclesiastes, you see a life who experienced all the pleasure in the world, but it was empty and it was hurting and it was a struggle. Yeah. So I guess the point is, Christians can have fun, and we should have fun. The Bible is full of talking about the joy of the Lord. We have a ton of fun. I mean, if the cameras were rolling before we start these,
laughing, having a great time.
Rich, I've known you your entire Christian life. Right. And I know that you and your wife have been able to do some really cool things in life. You and I have done some really cool things. I would not say that your Christian life has been boring or not fun, no, it's not always. None of our lives are great all the time. No. But I guess my point is, what fun are we chasing? Are we enjoying the things God gives us? Or are we chasing those empty things that Solomon talks about? And that's, I think, where the disconnect comes. Like you said, you went and had fun, but it was good. You were being built up in Christ. There was eternal things happening in there, right?
Yeah. And and this just coming to mind as you're talking right now. Forgive me, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
I think another reason why I felt like I needed that is because I think I felt that the booze or whatever enhanced me, like my personality. Like I need to have this to be like the fun guy in a way. And I have an interesting story, a fun story that.
Can you imagine if he was like amped up somehow? I can't imagine Steve
amped up
on another level.
No, I've never seen him excited. Except when he has
those are ADHD jokes, I see.
Except when he has ice cream.
At the Little Dipper, by the way.
That's right.
Downtown Jamestown, Michigan.
That's right.
See Melissa.
Wait till he gets a little of this red flannel coffee in him.
Yeah. Oh, tomorrow morning. But no, I had an interesting thing that happened a few years ago. So I was very fortunate for the last few years in my job. I've been able to get a work trip for just selling things, and I was really fortunate to go. So last year, I go to this trip. Well, I recently, and I kind of mentioned this some few podcasts ago, but I've recently completely, I gave up booze about a year and a half, almost be 2 years in July. So I'm not doing, there's nothing. There's no casual, nothing. I've just felt led to do this. So the first year I go out to this work trip, there's free booze everywhere, and so I remember being on this thing and everybody's having a good time. And I'm like one of two dudes that's not doing anything right. And I'll never forget it. A couple guys came up to me completely, they're having fun, right? And they came up and they go, so you're going to tell me that you're not drinking and you're having a good time? They were baffled because what I realized even with that, because I think even in my Christian journey, I still felt like I needed to have a few cocktails to be the fun guy. And I think I realized that was the first time God said, Steve, you don't need this at all for anything because you're the great guy. You're the fun guy that you are. People find you fun no matter what.
God created us with the personality we have for a reason. Without the need of adding anything extra.
And I think it's probably one of those things for, some, it's a self-confidence thing. Let's be honest. I'm probably thinking, well, I need this because it's just, maybe it's how I view myself or how maybe I think people view myself. Nobody really don't.
Nobody likes me unless I'm drunk.
Exactly.
And those are the people that you don't need in your life.
Exactly. But you know, again, in your own personal mind, because for me personally, like my personality, my fun level, that's something that I've been gifted with just naturally. I'm naturally that guy, right? So if I don't have that, I'm thinking, what else do I got? Really, you know, I mean, so that's right, just how my mind was working. So it was really neat to see that I wasn't doing that, and people were noticing. Wow, you're like it's like an example for them. It was like almost like a seed plant to say, wow, that's really neat to see this guy not having to indulge in anything, but still have a great time with everybody else. Yeah. And it doesn't bother him on top of it. And it really doesn't, it's even weird because God took that away from me where it doesn't even bother me. Like I can completely hang out in that environment and not even care, which is strange.
Yeah, that doesn't happen for everybody.
No.
Different conversation for a different podcast.
That is a different
but it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That happened.
So, yeah that's
well, I hope we answered a question.
No, we can't have fun.
No, we can't have fun. We don't ever have fun. That's why Rich started his own podcast. He's having way more fun over there by himself. No, Rich did not start his own podcast.
Nope. Do you have like a couple different voices? Like you do. Hello, I'm Rich. Hi.
Well, he probably does that radio voice, and then he answers himself. So he could have a 2-person podcast. You
have a couple people there, and people think, "Wow, he's got a really nice show." There, and it's really you the whole time.
Hi, my name is Rich. This is Shot-Town. Shot-Town.
That's gonna be the new thing. Every time we say that, we play the music. Every time we hear that.
Oh no! At least the good thing is one of my pet peeves is we don't have sirens in the background. People do. Well, we do at the very beginning.
We do at the beginning, and I've had people complain, but I'm not taking them out because I think it's fitting with our podcast. But I've actually heard people panic for a little bit because they turned on the podcast.
Driving down the road, and all of a sudden you hear sirens, and I'm looking in the mirror going, "Where are they? Where are they? Is that the boo-boo bus coming?" And
All right. Well, we derailed as usual.
We did. Yeah. Once again.
So guys, I hope this was helpful. I do want you to know, and let me share just scripture with you real quick. 1 John 2:15 says, "Do not love the world, neither the things that are in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and the pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away and its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever." So God never designed us not to have fun, but maybe we could say it this way. This probably isn't the best way to land a plane and end the podcast. What if Christians couldn't have fun? What if we didn't? Well, I don't think eternity is far more important. And Solomon actually, he found that emptiness, but in the end, he says at the very end of Ecclesiastes, he figures it out and he says the chief end of man is to fear God and to love him forever or to serve him forever. That's really what's important. If we're doing what God has for us, if we're doing things with eternal value, God didn't put us here to fall in love with the world, to fall in love with all that entertainment and chase those things. He did allow us to enjoy some of the things that he gives us. He gives us personality. He wants us to have a good time. We need that refreshment. We need that time where we just kind of disconnect and we have fun. We enjoy our family. We enjoy our friends. But when we're chasing the things of the world, we need to remember the things we're chasing. If it's worldly, it's going to pass away. So we're wasting our time. We need to chase the things of the Lord because it will endure forever.
Yes.
Well, thanks for listening. And since we didn't officially welcome you to the Faith Forged in Fire podcast, let's officially say goodbye and welcome you. You are no longer welcome here because we are turning this off. We're landing the plane, as we always say. And we will see you guys next week. Before we do that, though, let me just say what I always have to say. Make sure if you're watching this, share this with somebody, share our podcast, share our Facebook page. Please follow us on Facebook. Subscribe. If you've listened this far to this podcast and you haven't turned it off, thank you, by the way, for that.
Yeah.
But it really is helpful for us if you subscribe on YouTube, because YouTube, that's how they work. And so the more subscribers we have, the more they're going to push it out to other people. We're thrilled that you're listening. Same if you hit the like button. So those are all things. If we've been a blessing to you somehow on the podcast, so that really actually encourages us that you're subscribing, you're following on Facebook, you're doing those things. So that's kind of that last ditch sales pitch that we got for you. But so what you going to say, Steve?
No, I was just saying, and if you're a business, please reach out as well. Let's work together. Remember, we want to bring the body of Christ together. So please reach out and really anywhere that wants to hang up a sign. I guess it doesn't have to be.
Steve
a business,
just wants to make sure that everybody knows about us.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I love it. That's been fun.
And for a last minute quiz, if you go to redflannelcoffeeco.com, what's the code?
PJ20.
Ooh, you got it.
You're paying attention.
Paying attention.
I just seen if it was written down behind me or something.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
that's
thanks.
it. We're out. See you next week.
All right.